animating is a very easy thing to get into, but it takes a little bit of time to actually start getting good at it. Now, I, for one, am not an advanced animator or an expert by any means at all. I just want to help you get started with the ropes and just give a little nudge. On your screen are the things you'll need to download, and for a basic rundown, it'll just be Studio and Moon Animator if you really want to get into that. After you have installed Studio, you should open it and go to New and click on a base plate. Once you're inside your base plate, you should have nothing. And that's intended. Go to the plugins page and click on Build Rig. You should build whatever rig you want to build. R15 has elbows and knees and hands and feet, and R6 has just the basic limbs. I'll show you what I mean. Now, these two dummies may look very similar, but there is a lot of things different with them. For example, if we go into the animation editor, we can see that this one, the R15 dummy, has limbs such as this. It also has an upper torso and a lower one. This lower torso is pretty much the anchor point of this entire body. If we go over to R6, you can see that it does not have the upper or lower arm, or the hands or feet, and the anchor point is just the upper torso itself, which is called torso instead of upper, since there's no upper or middle. The head works the same as the R15 one. With this, you can pretty much choose whichever one you want to animate in. R6 is a little bit simpler and easier to work with, and R15 gives a little bit more complex detail, but either way, it doesn't really matter which one you pick. I recommend getting started with Moon Animator, since it has a lot of easing styles, and if you want to work with a cinematic perspective, or if you're working on a game with more complex and fluid animations, then you'll have more things to work with. So first, click on Moon Animator, then File, and New Animation. By the way, this purple aspect I have is just the theme that you can make. It's in the options and theme. You can set your own custom colors. So you want to make a new animation, and oh, I clicked open. New, and name it whatever you want. For our purposes, let's make walk. Now you have your track. Now, as you can see, there's nothing here. You have this little slider, but there's nothing to do with it. That's because we haven't added our rig yet. So, we'll just click the plus and click on whatever dummy we want. Let's go with the R6 for today. Oh, yeah, these have the same name, so we should rename them. There we go. Now, for the R6, the track is very simple. There's only like 6 things here, and there isn't too much to work with. If you were to work with the R15, you could see that you have a lot more to work with, and it's a little bit harder to look at the screen. So, for personal preference, I just use R6. Okay. So, first things first, we need to add a keyframe. Click the torso, and if you hold shift and click at the bottom, you can highlight all of them instead of control clicking every single one. After you've highlighted every single one, click the plus on your number pad, and that will make a keyframe. These store the information that is in every single piece. So, for example, this one, the right arm, it stores the information that this arm is in this specific position. But if I were to move the right arm, like so, it would be in a different position, and this keyframe would switch. How animations work is it takes time from one keyframe to the other keyframe and tries to move it in the quickest way possible, or the most efficient way possible. Here it takes around like roughly 35 frames, and as you can see, it just moves. So let's say you have a keyframe that you accidentally made by rotating something by accident. You can just delete that by pressing the minus key on your number pad. I actually made one there, so I had to delete one either way. Since we're going to make a walk animation, we can just make one, like so. Just rotate whatever parts you want in whichever direction, I recommend setting the first keyframe as one important part, and then just mirroring the entire animation. To copy and paste, instead of Control C, Control V, it's Shift C, Shift V. So keep that in mind. Here you have the attempt to reflect button, which will reflect all the pieces in the animation. So right and left will rotate, like so. Wow, that's crazy. I just copy and pasted the things before that we made, and wow, this is the most simple animation you could possibly make. It's a very slow one, because I didn't time it at all. Now, it ends abruptly over here, because this is not looped. To loop it, you just press the loop button. See how this is highlighted? Now it will loop. You can press space to play your animation, and wow, it's moving. There isn't very much emotion or technique in this, but it's a start, and not everyone's good at the first place. I was pretty garbage whenever I started, and this is also pretty bad. But the more you animate, I promise, the better you'll get. So after you have made an animation that you're happy with, or something that you want to get back to later on, click File and save it. There's also a hotkey for it, which is 0 on the number pad. You can then close it safely and reopen it later by opening the animation. Here. Wow. This will resume back to where you were left off, and it just saves in place. The animations are all stored in server storage. So there's an entire folder called Moon Animator Saves, and you have things here. You can save this to Roblox as a different thing that you might want to use if you're like able to code for scripts. You can use this as a mirror of the animation ID. Now let's say all this Moon Animator funky business too complicated, small brain, it's hard. You can just use the built-in Roblox animation editor, which is over here. This this is a very easy thing to access, and it also saves the work automatically. Now the same thing here applies to the Moon Animator, as you just move and rotate things. If you ever want to move something instead of rotate, you can press R on your keyboard, which will slide and switch into this. But that only ever matters when you're not making something so simple. Or if you just want to play around things, like, you can just go like but that's only if you really want to. Now, the bad part about this is there is no mirror function. So if you really want to make something symmetrical, you're going to need to just animate it, but in reverse, and try your best to make this as symmetrical as possible. This is a little bit of a downside for the Roblox animation editor, which is a reason why people choose to use Moon. But the main reason people try to use Moon is because of their easing styles and how much fancy stuff they can do with it, which I'll explain in a different video. So, you have your new walk animation, got the loop button over here, and it's walking. Also, let's say that you animate and you've run out of time here. There's not enough space on the track. You can just change this number and it'll make things bigger. I think it goes up to 30 seconds. This is in seconds, by the way. So make do with what you have. Same thing goes here. You can just save as a new animation. And name it whatever you want. Let's say you make a change, then you don't go to save as again, but you just save it and it'll save as walk automatically. Also, let's say you make a change, but then oops, clicked on a different dummy. You can come back and it's automatically saved, so you can save your progress whenever you want. after finishing your handy dandy business, you can just save this entire base plate in file, where you can save to file as if you're making a new place, or save to file if you have already saved this file to your folders or your computer. So I have not done so yet, which means I need to do this test, and that is now saved. You can open this whenever you open Studio, then again, and click the X button when you're finished, which is at the top right. Well, that's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I wish you best of luck on your future endeavors to animating. See ya.